KATC Weather Lab. Here's Rob's forecast.
Welcome back, and hopefully you're resting a little bit easy this evening. We'll have a nice calm weathercast. The tropics nice and quiet this week. Next week a different story, and back to a more typical summer scenario weather-wise, so we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. In fact, as we take a look at the water vapor imagery, this is the big picture across our part of the Gulf of Mexico. We have an upper level low that's over by South Texas that's spinning and eventually winding down in a couple of days, but what that has been doing is starting to usher mid and upper level moisture. We had plenty of clouds last couple of days. Those clouds kind of inhibiting the rain chances. Then the clouds cleared out late this afternoon, and we had a nice little shower thunderstorm in Lafayette and portions of Acadiana late this evening. And then high pressure off to the east also helping with that flow. So deeper tropical moisture means scattered afternoon storms, a much better bet tomorrow and then also into Wednesday. Today was about a 20% type day for Acadiana. Tomorrow about 30%. We'll go 40% on Wednesday, and then this low goes away and this high pressure comes in ahead of a tropical wave that should increase our rain chances again this weekend. More on that coming up in just a bit. As we take a look at the Bayou State this evening, still some scattered activity and a few thunderstorms up toward Arkansas. Locally, we've just seen some lighter rain shower activity north and east of Point Coupee Parish, and elsewhere relatively quiet, but we did have one or two isolated showers pop up in the last hour, kind of traveling across St. Martin Parish, but also weakening, and we'll keep rain chance tonight in the 10% range. So let's get into the tropics, see what's going on there. This is actually the peak week of tropical season in the Atlantic Basin, and relatively quiet overall, although we are watching a little bit of a tropical disturbance that's north and east of Hispaniola. More on that in just a bit. Upper level low here. Gabrielle, barely a tropical storm, may hold on for another day or two as it moves off to the northeast. Then tropical waves that we're watching off the African coast, one in the mid-tropical Atlantic. This one we had up to 70% coming off the African coastline, but it's run into a hostile wind situation. So low chances rather of development, at least for this week. If the development were to occur, one would be, this one right here would be over toward the Bahamas or Florida, but we're not overly concerned with that or with this system right now in the mid-tropical Atlantic. But the tropical wave that's coming off the African coast is going to make some good ground and may meld with this tropical wave somewhere east of the northeastern Caribbean. So let's get into the model forecast. Here's the Euro. I'm going to show you the Euro and the GFS model. The Euro shows that tropical wave moving across the Bahamas and Florida as we get into the weekend. That's going to shoot moisture westward our way, so we'll raise the rain chances for Sunday and then keep them up for Monday, Tuesday of next week. Then the Euro certainly picking up on a system that looks to develop as we go a week down the road. And then we have perhaps another tropical wave coming into the Gulf of Mexico. So this week's looks quiet, but going into next week, it certainly looks busier. Notice where the Euro's bird dogging this particular weather system north of the Caribbean. We get into the GFS model and we'll open it on up, and again we'll see relatively quiet conditions, a better increase in the moisture pretty much with the Euro for Saturday, Sunday. But notice how the GFS model will only go out a week, because going beyond a week in these tropical models, you're in fairy tale land. But the GFS and the Euro pretty close to the same spots here, but the Euro is going to be more up here while the GFS is farther to the south and continues to the west. But this is kind of a dead zone this year with strong winds across the Caribbean Sea. So we'll see how this one plays out, but more than likely, not talking about much this week, but next week, certainly there may be a system or two to monitor, but no threats right now for us. So tomorrow morning, maybe a pop-up shower along the coast, and then with the daytime heating in the afternoon, we'll see a scattering and smattering of afternoon and early evening showers and thunder showers. We'll keep it at 30%, and I'm maintaining the 40% for Wednesday, although the latest NAM model not really supporting that a whole lot, but there'll be scattered activity here and there, and we're splitting hairs when we're just talking about 10%. So count on typical summer weather. So much quieter tonight. Everybody sleeps good tonight. 73 the low, unless you're a Houston Texan fan, and we have a few over here, so sorry about that for tonight. Then tomorrow, normal September forecast, partly cloudy skies, hot 92 the high, 93 was the high today, so close to today once again, and much the same as we head into Wednesday. Then that high pressure comes in, we dry out and we heat up again. Not done with the mid 90s yet. And then deeper into the weekend, going into next week, it looks like a better chance of the daily dousings, and that, by the way, may keep our highs closer to the upper 80s to near 90 for several days as we go into next week. Near term, though, typical summer weather, no cold fronts on the horizon, at least for the next 10 to 14 days. Might have to wait till October, but there's always hope at the end of September. But still, also a solid month of tropical season for prime time for Louisiana to go. So we got another 4 or 5 weeks there to go.
You sound like a guy whose heart rate just came down. I heard you talking about that earlier.
Yes.
Huh?
Oh, yes.
How high was it?
Well, yeah, I was checking on my watch. It was up. It was up over 100 just in that last 37 seconds with one timeout left.
Pretty
Thank
intense,
you, Drew Brees.
huh?
Thank you, Drew Brees. He did it again for me.